The Secret I Never Meant to Keep. Han sat in the meeting room at her son's elementary school, gazing out the window. The sky was overcast, with dark clouds swirling above the small town she lived in. She didn't like the feeling. Just yesterday, everything seemed so fresh, but now, after all these years, every parent-teacher meeting made Han feel anxious. Not because of her son, but because of something from her past she had worked so hard to forget. Her son, Bin, was now in 5th grade. He was growing up fast, still innocent, but changing every day. Han couldn't help but feel proud of him. He was her everything. Bin was the only hope she had left in life. The new homeroom teacher was being introduced casually. Han wasn't paying much attention, but when the door opened and the new teacher stepped in, everything stopped for a moment. Min, her ex-boyfriend from college, the man she hadn't seen in 11 years, was standing right in front of her. He was still the same man, but different. Gone was the young, carefree boy she once knew. Now he was a calm, collected man with a touch of gray in his hair, a mature face, and eyes that still held the warmth she had always loved. All the old feelings came rushing back, memories of their time together, their walks under the sun, late-night conversations about the future, and the promises they made. But everything fell apart the day they had a huge argument, a misunderstanding that tore them apart. Since then, she had done everything in her power to forget him, to bury those painful memories. But now, Min was standing right in front of her again. He smiled at her, and his eyes sparkled with recognition. Han struggled to keep calm, but her hands tightened into fists. "Hello. I'm Min, your son's new homeroom teacher," he said, his voice gentle but distant. Han nodded and forced a smile. "Hello." There was nothing to say, no words to bridge the gap between the past and present. The meeting continued, but Han couldn't focus on anything anyone else was saying. Her mind was lost in the past, and the present seemed to slip away. When the meeting ended, Han hurried out of the room. Min stood there, his eyes following her, but he didn't approach. She wasn't sure what she wanted, whether to talk to him, to clear the air, or to just leave it all behind. But she couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting wasn't just a coincidence. Back home, Han sat by the window, the pale light from outside spilling into the room. She thought about Min and the years they had spent together. Their love had been intense during college. They were inseparable, dreaming of a future together. But then, everything changed after a huge argument that neither of them could get over. Min had said things in anger that cut deep, and Han couldn't forgive him for them. No one tried to make amends because they were both too proud. Han left the city, started a new life, and later discovered she was pregnant. Han was terrified. She wanted to reach out to Min, but her pride and the pain of their breakup stopped her. The thought of telling him felt like opening an old wound. So, she made a decision to keep it a secret. She would raise her child on her own. Years went by. Han built a quiet life with her son, but no matter how much she tried to move on, Min's memory lingered. Every time she looked at Bin, she couldn't help but think about what could have been. But it was too late now. She had made her choices. That evening, Han couldn't focus on anything. Her thoughts kept drifting back to Min, to their time together, and to the pain of their separation. Could she really face him again? Would she tell him the truth? But deep down, she knew it was inevitable. The next day, when she went to pick up Bin from school, she ran into Min again. He was standing in the hallway, and when he saw her, his eyes locked onto hers. There was no mistaking it. He recognized her immediately. "Hello, Han," Min said, his voice calm, but with a hint of surprise. "Hello," Han replied, her voice a little unsteady. After a few moments of awkward silence, Min glanced down at Bin, who was happily playing with his friends. "Bin is a special kid. He's a lot like you." Han's heart skipped a beat. She looked at her son, and then back at Min. Her mind raced. Was he beginning to suspect? Did he already know? As the days went by, the connection between Min and Bin grew stronger. He took an interest in Bin's schoolwork, praised him for his talents, and even invited him to stay after class to help with a project. But the entire time, Min had no idea who Bin truly was to him. Han watched from a distance, every moment filled with a mix of guilt and longing. She saw the way Min looked at Bin, and a part of her wanted to tell him the truth. But she couldn't. She had kept this secret for too long. One day, Bin stumbled upon an old letter Han had written years ago. The letter was filled with memories of Min, a love Han thought she had buried. As Bin read the letter, he came across Min's name and, without thinking, asked, "Teacher Min, did you ever know my mom?" Min froze. He stared at Bin for a moment, trying to make sense of what he had just heard. He had always felt some sort of connection with the boy, but now it made sense. The dates matched up, the way Bin acted. It was all starting to come together. Min confronted Han later that day. He was furious, his emotions spilling over. "Why didn't you tell me, Han? Why keep this from me for all these years? I have a right to know," he yelled, his voice full of anger and pain. Han couldn't speak at first. She had been expecting this moment, but she didn't know how to explain herself. I didn't know how to tell you," she whispered. "I was scared. I thought if you knew, you would never forgive me." Min's eyes burned with frustration. "I could have been there for you, for him. Why did you think you had to carry this alone?" Min stood there, staring at Han, his face a mixture of betrayal and hurt. He glanced at Bin, the son he never knew he had, and his heart shattered. After a long pause, he turned around and walked out of the room without saying another word. Han stood frozen, unable to move. She didn't know what would happen next. Would he come back? Would he leave her forever? Everyone has secrets, choices they can never undo. Han's story may be your story or someone close to you. In life, we all have to make difficult decisions, and sometimes those decisions come with deep regret. The question is, what would you do if you were in Han's shoes? Would you be able to forgive yourself for hiding such a huge secret? Or would the betrayal be too much to bear?